When looking for the king of podcasts, you're at the wrong channel.
Well, excuse me!
Looking for good ideas for life? You're far from good hands.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
If you think the listener is always right, you're far from the right place.
Out of order! Even in the future, nothing works!
Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, but a rebel by choice.
Are you threatening me?
If you want a host that floats between love and madness,
and we know the night is always gonna be here anyway. Thinking of you's working up my appetite, looking forward to a little afternoon delight.
then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
All right, guys, listen to this blues riff and B. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
Warning, creators of this game do understand the subject matter may be offensive to some, but they do honor the families and people that have been affected by these real-life tragedies that these individuals have caused. Want to play a game?
Oh, yeah!
Lover of true crime?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, we got an interesting game for you to check out.
Wow.
With the mashup of influences such as horror movies, collecting cards, and RPGs.
What?
Led to giving birth to an incredible creation of this game, Killers, the card game.
You are all my children now.
This game is a collectible trading card game featuring some of the most infamous killers, with tidbits of trivia on the back of each card to help you learn some insight to each criminal.
Who the hell are you?
Let's not forget, during the game, cops will be chasing you and these criminals.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
However, check out their website listed through all social media today, which can be found under Killers, the card game.
Am I on the internet?
I want to play a game.
Hi, I'm Liz Kennedy, and listen to my new song, Waving at Trains, and I'm thrilled to be here with Crazy Train Radio.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this next guest has come to see songwriting not only as a choice, but something she has to do after going through a whirlwind of life changes. She is a San Francisco-based singer-songwriter that says music sustains her and offers her a way forward. She's got new music out, but let's go ahead and welcome Ms. Liz Kennedy. So, Liz Kennedy, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm embarrassed to say, a little early for me. I'm kind of a night owl. So I had to go to bed really early, like
All good.
11.
So I guess you're out in San Francisco there? Or?
I am. And I'm very glad. I don't know if you've ever, I live on Telegraph Hill. Have you
Okay.
ever heard of the Parrots of Telegraph Hill?
I have not been there.
They're a herd of parrots that are not indigenous. And they are
Okay.
so noisy, and they love my trees right here. And it was a complete cacophony a few minutes ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, I only had time to visit Pier 39 quickly. I was in San Jose for a few days last year, and the person I was with said, "Come on, you're a history guy. That way you can at least see Alcatraz." So
Yeah.
I didn't have
Well,
enough time to.
Pier 39 would not really encapsulate our city very well, I don't think, but it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't have enough time to do other
Yeah.
things while I was in town. So
Next time, knock on my door.
we'll do. And
I mean it. Yeah.
yeah, so that'll make two people I know in the Bay Area, which is nice. So we will make that happen. I'm hoping next month. We'll see.
And where are you exactly?
Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Philadelphia.
So, well, before we jump into everything else, you got new music, Waving at Trains. So,
yeah, Waving at Trains. Yeah.
Waving at Trains.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell me about the song?
Well, I'm fourth generation Californian from Southern California. And down there, the train tracks are near the beaches. I was a beach person, and my brother is 2 years older than I. I won't say how old he is, but we're both getting up there, and he surfs almost daily in his 70s. And
Shocker, Southern California surfing. I can't picture that.
I know, it's kind of crazy. But I've been in the Bay Area since college, but all my family's down there. And so thinking of beach, trains were always going by. When you'd sleep down there, if you had a home at the beach, you heard the trains all the time. And my brother and I, we loved waving at a train just to see if you can, maybe the conductor's on the back, maybe you wait till the caboose goes by, and trains were just a big part of my growing up. I think now my parents said it to keep us occupied, but we were always told, count the number of cars on that train, when you'd see, if you were in a driving trip or something. I know we got the 300 once at the desert, so that was just to keep us from fighting, I guess. But the whole mystery of who's on that train, where are they going, who are they? Then my sister, they're all surfers, her husband, her kids, and they have a house right on the ocean, and you walk under the tracks and you're right there at the beach. And I was there on a trip, and I didn't have a guitar or a piano with me for several days. So I wrote that song actually on my cell phone piano with one finger, and incorporated all of us that were there. My step-grandson, my niece who surfs, and they have a bocce ball court there, and the train goes by all the time, and so I just wrote the song about that.
So I'm gonna put the song Waving at Trains right here for people to hear it.
Okay. Train rolling down the tracks, sailing by the sea so fast. Little girl sipping on her tea at the window so that she can see. Heading home to Lincoln, Nebraska. It's a capital, you can just ask her. On her way back from her grandma's, the whole trip she'll wear pajamas. Mama, there's a girl standing on the waves. I can't tell if she'll be okay. Sarah, she won't get hurt. That blonde girl knows how to surf. Cross Russell Bridge so high, cliff to cliff, how a train can fly. Fly, train, fly, like a bird up in the sky. I've always lived near the sea,
near the sea.
always lay in my bed, just listening for a train, singing softly to me,
singing softly to me.
Mama, there's a boy playing a game like we do back home. It's the same.
Pull the window up, I wanna call
and tell him that I love bocce ball. But the windows on the train are shut closed, so Sarah yells out, hello, again, hello, again and again. Then the boy turns and waves to the train.
Tracks.
I've always lived near the sea.
Train rolling down the tracks.
Laying in my bed, listen.
Train rolling down the tracks.
Hear the train singing to me.
Coming out of that catchy tune, make sure folks obviously go to her Spotify, YouTube, all that fun stuff. I'll have links associated with all versions of this episode. So make sure you support the independent artists and such. And well, you mentioned earlier, you've been in the Bay Area since college. And if I read this right, because we know reading is maybe not the most big thing to do with everybody with the TikToks and everything else like that. I read that you studied at Stanford with journalism and
anthropology and film, journalism
yes.
and film and anthropology. Yeah.
And you ended up staying there and you started working for some film companies that made TV commercials and such. Right. So obviously there was a professional incentive there to stay, because they tend to send these gimmicks every month called bills.
It's mine, you understand? Mine! All mine! Get back in there!
And, obviously we all get those. We all got to pay them. So besides the professional aspect of things, what was it that made you fall in love, I guess, with the Bay Area?
Well, I'm old enough. I'm not sure this is correct, but when I left Southern California, Northern California was more cooler to me. It was more intellectual. It's probably a little more, it was a little more liberal. And those were the days of anti-war, the Vietnam War, excuse me, and civil rights, and colleges were very fundamentally involved in all of that. And design things, restaurants. LA outcools us. But in 1968, when I went to college, it was, I think, a little more exciting than staying in Southern California. And so
I was going to say, at that point, we're also talking, from the grander scale of things, we're talking, Martin Luther King's assassination. We're talking Kennedy,
both Kennedy.
Assassination on the political tour. And there was, like you said, civil rights. There was so much more from a historical standpoint going on at that time period that.
Yeah. And it wasn't a fun time to go to college. Some of us kind of rue that football was going on and fun stuff, but there was also this sense of you had to be involved. And I would say 5 years, everybody has their issues when they grow up, but there was, God, I didn't know I was going to be talking about this, but you, and all these things about today are coming into my mind. It's not like I haven't thought about it, but you were encouraged to, if you went to certain colleges, to participate in the political climate. And so you weren't rah-rahing at football games. Not everybody was, like in the past. Sometimes I rue the fun I could have had that I didn't have, but I love what I did. I love that I was involved. I wasn't all that political. I'm not meaning to say that. It was just a very political time. And so I thought Northern California was cool. I actually went back to Boston for my first 3 years of working in the film industry. Then I came back to San Francisco and I worked in film because I always wanted to be a songwriter. I was always writing music. It was always my first love, but I didn't think I was good enough. And I'm not a good enough piano player, probably. I have my unique style, but if you listen to that song, I'm playing piano throughout, but somebody else is doing some of the cool parts. And I hear them, I know what I want people to do, but I can't always play the accomplished instruments. I mean, there's like, what, 12 instruments going on there.
Yeah.
I'm probably overstating. I can't remember. I have the credits. I know everybody. I have a band of 7 people, so we're the core group, but a few other people came in for the fiddle and for what else did we have on there? Anyway, I loved film. I worked doing something that was interesting, which was real people casting, non-actor casting. And I traveled all around talking people into being in commercials. My husband at the time, I think I learned he was a writer, advertising writer of some note. And I think I learned a lot from him about writing. And so I was always just writing the music. And I kept thinking my Hammerstein was going to find me. I was the Rogers, and who's going to write the song? Who's going to write the words? Who's going to write the words? And finally I said, I'm going to write them. Nobody else is showing up, so I'm going to start writing them. That wasn't until my 40s.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm jumping all around.
No, that's fine. I tend to do that as well. And I was going to ask that because when reading bio and everything else and doing my homework, it was noted that you were in your 40s. You had this realization that you had songs in your head that never been recorded. And obviously, you had your marriage, your kids, just the mundane, everyday life. Then you had this realization. Do you remember that realization of,
I do.
Hey, wait.
I do. I started trying to record things. I mean, I was recording things in a really bad way to not forget them. I had like, I don't know, 20, 30 songs in my head, and I was starting to just record them so that I kept saying, I don't want to step off of a curb, and they're all gone for good, and they were only in my head because I was also very shy and never played for anybody. I think I say in one of and this is true, unless they were vacuuming and nobody could hear what I was playing, then I was very happy to play in a cacophonous setting where nobody can hear. Or in the middle of the night at college, there was a piano in the dorm. So I had all this and I couldn't record it properly, singing and I started writing the words. So then I really wanted to record it, not to go anywhere, but just to not die and not have it. Or to hear it, like, what does it sound like if it's recorded and I can listen to it, not playing at the same time? So I looked around for a recording studio that had a great piano. I'm very fussy about pianos. And I recorded one. And the guy that was recording it, who's now my producer, Joel Jaffe, and had this studio called Studio D in Sausalito. There was a heyday of recording studios in Sausalito up here. And he said, "Do you have any other songs?" And I said, "Do I have songs?" "Yeah, I've got songs." So that moment, that day, having someone say, "Oh, I like that. Do you have more?" Yeah, because I've been a closet case for years, thinking, I'm not a good enough piano player, but actually I'm a unique piano player. I play my own style, and I play the guitar in a weird way. I never know what I'm playing on the guitar, but it comes out. I don't play all the strings. I'm not a Michael, row your boat. I don't play a D, a G. I find something that just the notes I want. It's actually like how I'm playing on the piano, and I kind of pluck strum. So
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, I was talking to, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her or not, Dina Carter.
No, I wish. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'll write
she,
it down.
like Strawberry Wine and things like that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And from the early 2000s, and her husband plays with her. And
Yeah.
it was cool just listening and watching at night with how he would bend the strings and try to bring a different sound to whatever they were playing besides
And
your traditional.
I don't like barring, so I come over with my thumb for the bass notes.
Mm-hmm.
And that means I can't play all the strings because I can't go here. And although James Taylor figured it out, but
Well, James Taylor's another beast, so.
yeah, that's another thing. But so somehow when you're in a closet and you don't play for people and you're just constantly challenging yourself, you come up with your own style somehow. And but my goal was always to write, never to sing. I don't have a voice, but I guess I do okay at getting the emotion of what I want to say out. And I don't miss notes. I'm on key. But nobody was saying, "Oh, Liz, you should be a singer,"
No,
But
I totally get
no one
that.
else to sing the song. So things just started going into place. And people actually liked my voice. And I say, "You're crazy. You like my voice." But,
No, I totally get that. I
Yeah.
feel the same way about mine, but
Yeah. You're a musician? I'm sorry, I
no,
don't know.
no, I don't.
But just your
I'm
voice.
just saying, as far as speaking and everything
Oh,
else, I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah, you have a great voice.
Thank you. So you mentioned it, the having your own unique sound and all that. Where did that palette and I would say your influences come from as far as trying to make it your own, but also respecting the other work?
Well, you first have to copy people to know how to play an instrument. And so I credit my my father for bringing me to music, but that would have been a Frank Sinatra, Louis Prima kind of thing.
Big band kind of.
Yeah, and just totally into it. And we always had music going. And my parents were always dancing. They'd always just get rhapsodic. Yeah, they were in love, but they were 6'3" and 5'4". So we'd always go, "Oh, God, don't dance. Stop doing that," But it's cute. It was.
Contradiction there between mom and dad, huh?
Yeah. So so I listened to that. Then my brother got into rock and roll like Johnny Otis when he's like 7. I'm 5. I'm 2 years younger. And then into folk music. And he played acoustic guitar. I always played piano. I was playing piano since I was 5. Then I took up first stringed instrument, the banjo uke. Changed my life. Went to camp, came back, figuring out, understanding that you can actually play thousands of songs with 4 chords, you know. When that first happens and you have a good ear and you play, and he had friends that played, and then we listened and had groups. I played in a group. I think we were called the Wayward Three.
Yeah.
All had striped shirts like the Kingston Trio. I mean, just at talent shows and things like that at school. But then listen to folk music. Then came the Randy Newman, Bonnie Raitt, Leon Russell, taking songs and trying to play what they're playing. Randy Newman really hit me with his style of piano playing. Not that it's simple,
Absolutely,
but I could kind of figure it all out. And then I'd go to concerts, and you weren't supposed to, you know, I'd try and get really close to watch and see what they were playing and how they were playing it. And then that's what I wanted to do. But it's probably a good thing. You don't want to regret that I didn't go. Maybe I'd be burned out now and not as excited about it as I became later in life. Or maybe I needed to do all that work by myself before I started. I guess this is my 6th album, and now there's no albums anymore. I had a vinyl last time, and that was a lot of fun to come. That was the only vinyl I came out with. But I'm not coming out with anything now, and it's not really in an album form. It's going to come out. This is the first song of it'll become an album at the end, I understand. Yeah. But if you want, and I'm going to do a video with each one. So now you're a singer-songwriter / filmmaker, although I have a great film editor and filmers and all, but I have to kind of come up with what I want it to look like. So there I went again. I just started talking.
It's all good. And I just want to mention, because the one name that I guess younger generations wouldn't understand, or not so much understand, but younger generations probably aren't familiar with, in Johnny Otis. He's considered the godfather of rhythm and blues. He worked with folks like, you know, Etta James and Alan O'Day, and, just Jackie Wilson and Johnny Ace, and, what I mean? So I'm a music nut. So as you can probably tell.
Good.
So, he's American R&B and rock and roll, early rock and roll. So figured gotta give him his due.
My brother had to have these shoes. They were white buck wingtips, and they were called rock and roll shoes. And he had that. So the beginnings of all that music, and you have radio was so important to us back then. And I was just thinking about country music and Americana. But back when I was a kid and you listened to the radio all the time, all the different genres were there. Country, Tanya Tucker with Frank Sinatra, with Sam Cooke, you heard it all. You had the top 40, but in the top 40 was such an amalgam of styles.
Everything wasn't in a box.
No, you didn't go to a different station to hear all that kind of music. It was all there, and it was just music. And then I guess it's the Beatles. I'm not a historian that way, but something changed, and suddenly country went over there and pop went over there, and then whatever the Beatles are, and all of that happened again. And then, of course, the Beatles had taken in rock and roll and blues, but
that British invasion of who else? You had Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and the Who, and all that stuff from the British invasion went that direction.
But I do think that was a heyday of music. I mean, everyone's still listening to everything I was listening to in the late 60s and the 70s. I think they're all listening and still liking it. And so that's a huge influence on me. It's really hard to just sit at the piano and play something that isn't influenced by who I am. And I'm finally saying, Liz, just let it go, just do what you do. Don't don't listen to don't not listen to new music because don't go, I can't do that, or that's better than anything I've done, or something. Just enjoy it all, let it percolate, and see what else you come out with. And
Exactly.
I'm so lucky I have a great band. I have such talented people. And like I said, Joel Jaffe, who's producer, but he's also the guitar player, dobro player, everything. He's multi-talented. The editor that did the Waving at Trains and did that effect on it, I don't know what he did. He's in France. He used to live here, but I still am with him and we communicated still. And I think he did a great editing job, and he'll be working on everything else that's coming out. And I do have quite a bit of Americana, and it's not all, but I really do love mandolins and acoustic guitars and all of that. But I don't have credentials in that. I just sort of like the sound. So I don't know where I came from, but
I'm guessing with your sound and such, you enjoy playing intimate settings and allowing folks to have a connection with your music.
right.
Am I pretty far off on that, or?
No, I really like an intimate situation. So where I perform, and I haven't performed for a little while because I was working on this. I used to play, and I love a real piano, but you can't, your neck is gonna break off after for me, you can't engage. So now I play an electric piano, a really good one, and I'm right in front of everybody, and I really try and
You
engage.
have that eye contact.
Yeah, I don't want to play without that now because I want to make sure they're listening to it, and it's a better experience for them and for me. And it turns out I can engage them, and I hope I'm not boring, but I try and engage them a little before I start the song too. And I hope it's not, laughable singer-songwriter saying, I wrote this in the rain in a bus station in Detroit or something. I hope it's not quite as, I don't know.
But for the folks who, but for the folks who wrote their songs in the bus terminal in the rain in Detroit, we still love you.
I love that. I love that. I love that. But I try to say something. Yeah, you're right. That was kind of nasty. I didn't mean it that way. I meant
no.
I could say, oh, I wrote this and make it all about me, but I try and say, bring them into it that they'll maybe relate to something about it in a story about childhood, or I don't know. Try and engage. But I'm going to write a song about a bus station rain in Detroit right after we hang up, and that's how I'll introduce it.
There you go. Oh, what is next, all kidding aside, about our songs in the rain?
Well, I'm going to be coming out with a new one every 5 to 6 weeks now for this album that won't exist on a CD or if I did anything, I'd do another vinyl because that was fun. And I designed an old-fashioned one that opened up, and it just,
there was something about reading the credits and everything else like that.
Yeah, and it had all the
pictures and
were on the sleeve. Remember that? You're young,
yeah.
So you don't
39. But I remember. What's that?
How old?
39.
Yeah, see, you're a youngster.
But I still remember being able, whether it was the CD label or their vinyls, for folks I know who had the imagery and the lyrics and the credits and there's something tangible about having something physical.
Well, a lot of the young kids are loving vinyls now and buying them.
Yes, I saw that.
I love that. My daughter, she just loves that. And so I did have a lot of fun doing the vinyl, and that was great. But I have a lot of vinyls sitting in my garage that didn't.
Well, sounds like a field trip to the Bay Area just to go through the vinyls.
Yeah, Yeah. Yeah. So
make sure you check out Waving at Trains. Liz
Yeah.
Kennedy, thank you so much.
this was great. Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs. Well, when you're looking to get yourself masks, why not check out our friends over at Camp Blood